Yo, what's going on everyone? Today I'm going to be showing my Wyvern 13, my Banshee 13, and my Azyimanak 13 one-shot teams. I hope you enjoy. This first, 3 minutes are just going to be the straight up one-shots with no talking, no anything. And then after I'll get into what their stats are and just show you their stats, and then I'll take you on a breakdown of what's actually happening in the fight if you want to know what is actually going on. Sweet as. Enjoy.
Sometimes darkness can become your light.
I'm getting tired of you. Bye-bye now.
Oh! Ah!
It's too late to back out now.
Sword! Beginning. Sweep! Over here.
Understood. Please disappear.
Woo! Yeah, baby!
I am under the water. Please help me.
Destruction. Answer my call.
Raccoon, fly!
You'll regret facing me. Please.
How about this? You know it's pointless! Please stop him! You're his friends! Why?
Destruction. Answer my call.
This is my justice! Dancing blade.
All is done.
Do you have nothing left to say?
There is no avoiding your fate. Disappear!
I won't miss.
Hot and spicy meat. Yeah, boy. That's
Yeah, and that's all three one-shots. If that's all you're here to see, thank you for watching. Like, subscribe, leave a comment, tell me what you would like to see next, maybe. I don't know. I don't really care. I'm just happy you watched, to be honest. Thank you. Took lots of time to get those set up. And yeah, we're going to go on to the team part. I'm going to show you the stats. If I need to comment on anything, I will. I'll just tell you the bare essentials. Like what artifact they need, or if they need a particular exclusive equipment. And in some cases, I'll talk about if they need effectiveness, effect resistance, or what their role is. I'll explain it, I'll run you through it, and yeah. Speed tuning, I won't go too in depth with it, but I will let you know now, my speed that I have on my characters do work. They are tuned. It's just depending on how fast certain characters are, you might need to adjust your character to that. And we're going to be starting off with Wyvern 13. So let's jump into the stats, and I'll pop them up on screen. You can just look at them and I'll go over what I need to say. And yeah. Starting off with Wyvern 13's tank, Sinful Angelica. Sinful Angelica's stat requirements require to have 200 effect resistance, so her immortality on her S3 doesn't get stripped. And she also needs to be the fastest on the team. Do note that she needs to be speed tuned with Karen, so she goes first on the grunt wave, or the first wave, and second on the second wave, because her S3 also applies speed buff to the rest of the team and attack buff. But the speed buff allows Karen to cut on the second wave, so just keep that in mind when you're building her, as you don't want it to go too fast. For artifacts, I'm rocking Super Duper Water Gun Shooter, which increases the attack and the effectiveness of all my allies, which is always nice. And for exclusive equipment, it doesn't really matter what one that you have. I personally think the last one is slightly better than the rest, but I would highly recommend using this to speed tune your Sinful Angelica. Now on to Defense Breaker Wyvern 13, Karen. The only stat requirements Karen has is she needs 85 effectiveness and needs to be speed tuned with Sinful Angelica and has to be slower than SSB so she doesn't dump her defense break into one of the grunt first wave mobs, which would be very unfortunate. I would recommend putting every other stat into attack after you've got those met. And for artifacts, I'm rocking Daydream Joker to give her more damage. And I'm rocking the exclusive equipment 3 to add more bleed so my secret can do more damage. Now onto Wyvern 13's Wave 1 one-shotter, who is definitely the hardest character to build in this whole hunt, and that is SSB. SSB stat requirements require to have 180 speed minimum. I honestly cannot get any slower than that. I would say probably 185 would be ideal, but she needs to be able to go before the first 2 grunt enemies on the first wave. She also needs to have a shitload of attack. Like, a lot. She needs to do enough damage to one-shot the first wave by herself. She does get an attack buff, which makes things a little bit easier, but not much easier. I also would recommend Rengar's Special Drink, which is her exclusive artifact, but it needs to be plus 30. It massively decreases the stat requirements you need for attack, and I'll definitely recommend the second exclusive equipment, as it just makes her do 10% more damage on her counter attack, which is what you want. Last but not least, we have the Wave 1 one-shotter, Sigrid. Sigrid is by far the easiest to build on this whole team, as you don't need to speed tune anything. She just needs to be slow. I've got 10 speed on her, but you could probably have none, and it'll be perfectly fine. I would highly recommend a rage set on Sigrid, but you can make it work with a destruction set. It would just make the stat requirements a tiny bit higher. All she needs is a buttload of damage. Heaps and heaps of damage. Obviously it goes without saying, she needs to be able to hit a crit, so make sure your crit is high enough. And yeah, that goes for every DPS. But she requires Daydream Joker, otherwise she won't be able to one-shot the boss, and her S1 exclusive equipment is her best one. So I would recommend that, and yeah, that's pretty much it. Now let's move on to probably my most scuffed team out of the 3. Though, not probably, definitely my most scuffed team out of the 3. But it works, and that's just the standard Banshee one-shot team. I'm sure this is what most people rock. If they don't have bike, and they probably just use like Ram or someone else. But yeah, standard team. Let's just jump into it. There's not much to say about these guys. Let's start off with Wyvern, who's the buffer / partial wave 1 one-shotter of this hunt. Her only stat requirements is that after she puts her S3 on the team and buffs everyone, she needs to be able to lap Biken again with help of her exclusive equipment to one-shot the first wave before Biken goes. So she just needs to be fast enough to do that, and the rest can pretty much all go into damage. She doesn't need to have any effectiveness / effect resistance, as she puts immunity on herself and poisons are not an issue. As for her artifact, her best in slot is probably Time Matter, but my team is kind of crap and low on damage, so I need to use Cardinal Miracles or Warhorn to allow me to one-shot. So yeah, just keep that in mind, that if the rest of your team does more damage, Time Matter will be the better artifact here. And for her exclusive equipment, it is mandatory that you rock exclusive equipment too, as after you use the S3, it will boost your combat readiness by 50%, which actually makes it physically possible for you to lap your bike in. It's physically impossible otherwise, so you need to make sure that you have the second one equipped. Next up, we have the defense breaker / other half of the wave 1 one-shotter for me, Leo. So my Leo is very, very scuffed, but basically the stat requirements are you need to have 85 effectiveness to land the defense break consistently. He needs to be faster than Biken. I would recommend probably like 180 speed on him, and then the rest of it can go into damage. I will mention that you don't want him to do too much damage because he might push the Banshee into the split phase, which if that happens, you fail the one shot. So just make sure that he doesn't do too much damage. There isn't really much else to talk about him. You just make sure that he's got 85 effectiveness and does enough damage to help your Vivian one-shot the first wave, but not too much damage that he pushes the Banshee into the split phase. As for artifacts, he's rocking Misconfile. I only have this because it increases the chance of defense breaks, which ups my percent of like success. But you can basically rock anything you want in this slot. It's more up to you. I do think Misconfile is the best choice, but obviously it's a limited collab, so I would understand if you don't have it. You can pretty much rock anything. Daydream Joker works in there, but I wouldn't recommend because you might push the Banshee too hard. So just, you know, mess around with it. You can find what works in there. I do think Misconfile is the best though. Last but not least, we have the one-shotter, Baiken. I understand Baiken is a collab unit and it's really sad, but she is the best. And I would highly recommend her if you have her. But if not, there are substitutes you can use. But I do think that Baiken is the best. And plus, I mean, it's Baiken. But no, so her stat requirements are pretty much the same as Secrets. You just want her to do a bunch of damage. It's just as much damage as physically possible. My Baiken actually falls a little bit short on damage. Normally I have to use Vivian's artifact to increase the damage, or I have to use a imprint from another character who I'll just slot in like the back to increase her damage. So I would highly recommend trying to get a tiny bit more damage than my Baiken, as my Baiken leaves the Banshee on like 1 HP. And then it splits and it ruins everything. So your Baiken has to be able to one-shot. It can't fall short at all. But yeah, for artifacts, she requires Daydream Joker. There is a 0% chance that any other artifact will work. So make sure to use Daydream Joker. And yeah, just have her slow and have her do a bunch of damage. Yeah. Last but not least, my favorite team ever. My Azyimanak 13 team. I'm so proud of this team because I had a plan. I want to put Vildred in this team and I want it to work. Because I had Vildred in my PvP team in Cleave, but I also used him in my just like standard Azyimanak 13 not one shot, but like the actual fight. And I thought, you know what? I want him to be in the one shot team no matter what. So I just slotted him in, put Strays and Watcher with him, put Vivian with him, and I just said, he's going to be my wave 1 one-shotter, no matter what. And I got it to work. So yay. Matter of fact, I think I got it to work pretty well. This team is the only one that I'm showing today that was a 100% clear rate. It's impossible for me to fail. So yeah, I'll go over it. Sweet. So let's start off with Vivian. This Vivian's the exact same as my Banshee 13 Vivian. Nothing has changed at all. The only thing I would change is if you're using Time Matter, swap over to one of these, either Card of Small Miracles or Warhorn. I think I would say Warhorn is better. If you're not using Warhorn on like your Mediator Carrick or something, just put Warhorn on. Matter of fact, I would probably prefer to use Warhorn on my Vivian over this because it gives nearly 10% more damage instead of my 4.3. Makes things easier. But yeah, it's the exact same. Exclusive equipment same. Nothing's changed. The only thing I'll change is the artifact to Warhorn in particular. But if not, Card of Small Miracles. Now we have my pride and joy. The main reason I built this whole team is because I wanted to make Vildred work in a PvE area somewhere, just so I could use him in PvE somewhere, because he's getting harder and harder to use in PvP with all this counter-attacking crap. But yeah, this is what I ended up with. He's one of my favorite characters, so he's probably over, you know, this is probably looks intimidating. He's got triple S imprint, which he basically needs for the first wave clear. He's got his exclusive artifact plus 30 to help him do more damage and penetrate defense and stuff. You could probably substitute the artifact out with something different. I haven't tried anything else. This is the one I seem to have the most success with, so that's what I stick with. He needs to be slightly slower than Vivian. I have him 10 speed slower than Vivian, so he just goes straight after the attack buff gets applied. And yeah, so he just needs to do a bunch of damage and be faster than the first wave of enemies. Yeah, so that's what he has. His exclusive equipment is the one that increases his S3's damage by 10%. It's probably the best one you could pick. I'd highly advise to do that. Now let's talk about one of the one-shotters, Watcher Sherry. Watcher Sherry is pretty straightforward. Because he's a one-shotter, you just make him as slow as possible and just stack him full of damage. The more damage, the better. I would highly recommend the Destruction set on him, as there are no debuffs that get applied, so Rage set will not work, as it only activates when the enemy has debuffs. His exclusive equipment doesn't matter. I would just use it if you need speed for some reason, but I would actually say don't use it, because I think he's better when he's slower than Strays. It doesn't particularly matter as long as your Stray Century is good enough, but he does a little bit more damage if he goes after Strays, I believe. The artifact he needs is Daydream Joker. That is a mandatory artifact for him. And yeah, it's pretty straightforward. Just pile him full of damage, make him slow, and yeah, exclusive equipment doesn't matter. Daydream Joker. Okay, you guys are about to see my craziest character yet. The build is unreal. It's absolutely crazy. That's my Strays build. Oh, you're gonna be impressed, guys. Ooh, that free attack set looking crazy. As you can see, my Strays, I've put nothing into him. I'm eventually gonna upgrade him to a cracked rage set is my plan, but my Strays is not built. He is Garbanzo. But that does just prove that you don't need a crazy team to actually one-shot the boss itself. You do need crazy gear to one-shot the first wave, in my opinion, but you don't need it to one-shot the boss. Granted, if I take Card of Small Miracles off of my Wyvern, I actually just, like, the boss survives on a slither of health, and I'm only getting like a 4.3% attack boost from that artifact, which proves how little I kill the boss by with the Strays. But it is what it is. I will say that his stat requirements just need him to be slow, a bunch of damage, pretty much the exact same as Watcher. He needs to be on Daydream Joker. Preferably he'll be on Destruction set right now, but obviously attack set also works. And a rage set works, but not on this boss, but it is probably what I'm going to end up using, because I'm just going to substitute the losses stats on this hunt with just having better overall gear. But yeah, that's my Straze, and yeah. Well, that concludes this video. Make sure to like and subscribe if you enjoyed, and have a good day, a good life. Leave a comment if you enjoyed, and tell me if you want to see anything else, or if I missed anything or said anything. Comment it down below, and I'll add it into the description or pin your comment. And yeah, peace.